Welcome to this week's edition of the Weekly Travel Alert. I'm Steve Glenn.
I'm Paul Glenn.
Paul, today we're going to come up with a list of top 10 things you can do to find the lowest airfare. We've been at this now for 38 years. Executive travel started 38 years ago. And every year people say to come up on the street and say, hey, how do I find the cheapest airfares? Anybody ever ask
All
you
the
that?
time. Yep.
All the time. Well, today we're going to tell you some of the secrets. The secrets aren't so secret. They're basically common sense, Paul. And once you understand how they build fares based on how full the planes are, what days a week people travel. Supply and demand. It all makes sense. So stay with us as we go through this list of the top 10 ways you can get the lowest airfare. This is sponsored by Executive Travel. You can find us at executivetravel.com. You can also call us, a friendly agent on the other end of the line at 402-435-8888. So here we go. Here's the top 10 list.
All right, let's do it.
Number 1, stay away from flying on Fridays and Sundays to find the cheapest airfares. Paul, think about it. If you're a vacation traveler, you come home on when?
Vacation travelers are going to come home on Sunday. They got to get ready for the week ahead.
When does a business traveler come home?
Coming home on that Thursday or Friday.
Absolutely.
Get home for your weekend.
If I'm going to leave for a short weekend getaway, when am I going to leave?
Thursday or Friday.
Absolutely. So that Friday, Sunday are always usually full planes, and that usually means the prices are higher. So with that in mind, if you're planning on traveling, you can travel oftentimes now with a Tuesday or Wednesday. Mm-hmm. And some of the airlines are seeing such light flights on Tuesday or Wednesday, like Allegiant, they're pulling out their flights.
Yep.
They don't travel on Tuesdays and Wednesdays to certain cities. So that's when you're going to see some great prices. So stay away from those Fridays and Sundays. Number 2, buy your tickets at least 21 days in advance to get the best price for domestic tickets. You need to buy them in advance. Sometimes you got to buy them further in advance around holidays, but the point is you use Google Flights a lot. Tell everybody how you use those.
Yeah, I just plug in what I'm looking for, and then you can actually have it store what your search was and send you notifications if the price goes up or the price goes down. So very handy tool.
The other thing is, if you're a member of a frequent flyer program like Ryan #Snerdley, who's recording this, he's a Southwest member, so he gets all these emails from him that says, hey, today's a $59 airfare sale, although I can never find a $59 airfare, but you'll get notified by the airlines to do it. So use Google Flights, use your airline frequent flyer miles registration, and you'll get notified of those special deals. And try to usually do it 21 days in advance, but don't buy it too early unless you find a super duper airfare sale. The nice thing about Google Flights, it'll tell you what the price is, and it'll tell you if that's low, medium, or high price.
And you can also go and do a price search, and it'll show you, if you move this by one day or this way or that way, then what that pricing would be.
I like that calendar.
Yep, the calendar's pretty
Pricing
handy.
calendar's pretty cool deal. So that's step number 1. Step number 2. Step number 3. Save 20% or more by taking a connecting flight. Paul, I love the direct flights, but you pay more for it. About 20%.
You do, but it comes down to you got to figure out your risk factors.
Right.
We see a lot of business travelers that we will actually suggest that they take the direct flights because it gets rid of that misconnection that then you're not there for your meeting and you got to reschedule. It also makes it so that, if there's a storm or something comes through, then it doesn't have near as much potential of having that, making it so you have a misconnection. So multiple reasons to consider it. But then when it goes to the vacation side, obviously 20% adds up if you've got a family of 4 traveling. And that's what they're kind of banking on, is they're banking on filling some of those with connections by having people that are a little more focused on the savings opportunity or the value that they're able to get from their funds.
So a direct flight, if you're flying from Omaha to New York, would be nonstop. A connecting flight would be Omaha, Chicago, New York. That would be a connecting flight. And it basically will take you about 2 hours longer, probably, with a connecting flight. And you have the risk of a delayed flight or a canceled flight, either a delay in arriving or a delay on the departure. And so I love direct flights. I've got to admit, I pay extra for it. But people are asking how to find the cheapest. We're going to tell you. Number 4 on this week's Weekly Travel Alert on 10 easy steps to find the lowest airfares. I've done this now for about 38 years. You can also go to executivetravel.com and register to receive the weekly traveler. It comes out every Tuesday at about 10:30. Paul, when do you send out your publication?
Friday, about 10:30, the Travel Week in Review, which is just the handful of articles that I found during the week that I feel might be relevant to our viewers.
All right, step number 4 on the 10 ways to find the lowest airfare reads, don't worry about what day you purchase your tickets. Years ago, it used to be they changed the ticket prices every Tuesday or something. That doesn't exist anymore. They change it every...
I say it's dynamic. They're changing it hundreds of times a day now. So.
Yeah, if not thousands or 10,000s. You talk about AI, and people say, what about AI? But AI has been in our business for now 20-some years, and that's been dynamically changing the price of airline tickets and prices. So the other thing that we need to advise people, if you find a good fare, buy it now, because they can change that. It can go up and double in price same day.
No.
Same day. So step number 5, no Saturday night stay is now required to find the lowest fare. About 20 years ago, Paul, you had to stay a Saturday because the airlines had figured out there were 2 kinds of travelers. One was a business traveler, and he departed when and came back when?
Monday and came home Thursday or Friday.
Right. And the leisure traveler, he did what?
Was leaving on Thursday or Friday and coming home on Sunday.
Yeah, so he stayed a Saturday night, he or she. So that's how they differentiated their prices.
Well, they knew that the vacation traveler was much more sensitive because they're spending their own money versus the business traveler that's spending their company's money. And so, yeah, they figured they could maximize their revenue by going that direction. But that is no longer, and I think Southwest Airlines was the primary reason for that. They came out with one-way tickets, one-way pricing, and so they kind of changed the whole market there.
You bet. Step number 6, traveling midday is the sweet spot to avoid crowds. So let's talk about that. When business travelers go, they usually like to get up early, get that early morning flight, get to their destination mid-afternoon to early afternoon, maybe have an afternoon meeting at 3 o'clock. Some of them, like me, try to squeeze in that late flight back. So the early flight is booked and the late flight is booked. Yep. That noon flight is the sweet spot.
10 o'clock to 2 o'clock.
Yeah.
I would say if you can find a departure flight within there, they're much more likely to have greater availability and therefore get some better value.
I did find a deviation from that. The super duper early flights, that 5 a.m. flight to the East Coast, means if you live in Lincoln and leaving out of Omaha, you're up at 2 in the morning. You probably don't even sleep if you're like #Snurdly and you can't sleep before you travel. You're going to get up at 1 or 2 in the morning and be on the road up to Omaha. So sometimes those early bird flights are not as full.
They're good value, but kind of goes to at that point. Are you going to be what good are you going to be by the time you get there? I mean, if you're non-functional at that point, I'd actually weigh it out to see if I'm better flying the night before.
Yeah,
so I can at least get that good night's rest.
I like trying to work a full day, get a 5 o'clock flight, get in at 10 o'clock, get to my hotel, get a night's rest. I can get up and get a breakfast, have a 10 o'clock meeting, be done by noon.
Well rested.
I can get on a 3 o'clock flight, maybe sneak in home if I'm on the East Coast, get back to Omaha or Lincoln by 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock at night, if I ever get lucky.
If you're lucky.
All right. Number 7 on this week's list of the top 10 items to find the lowest airfares. Book your Christmas and Thanksgiving flights before Labor Day to lock in price. And this is one you want to do it before 21 days in advance, because those flights, like the Sunday after Christmas, Sunday after Thanksgiving, they're booked.
Everybody's trying to get home.
Yeah. Otherwise, you might have to come home on that Monday or Tuesday after Thanksgiving to find a good price. So book those early for your Thanksgiving travels. Number 8 on our list of the 10 steps to take to find the lowest airfares reads, buy tickets to Europe by Valentine's Day when the airlines historically lower the prices. Paul, we've seen some really interesting things. This year we found some good prices in August travel because people were staying away from Europe in the summer with the heat, to avoid the heat. And then we found October was actually expensive. So people are listening to us, Paul. We said travel in April and May to Europe, and in when? September,
October.
And they're listening because that's when things are getting more expensive. But we're telling people if you're planning for next year, 2025, you probably want to get those booked if you can sometime before Valentine's Day. So you'll find some savings there. Step number 9 on how to find the lowest airfares reads, if you want to find the best prices to Mexico, to Caribbean, travel between Labor Day and January 10th. Actually, my sweet spot is the first 2 weeks of December. Hotel prices are half price. Airfares are great. Travel between Labor Day and
people
January
are in
10th.
Holiday mode. Yep.
Yeah, but now after that, in January, late January, February, March, guess what? Planes are full. Prices are high.
Everybody's back on the road.
Sun and fun. They want to get out of 20 below zero in Nebraska and get to 82 degrees in Cancun. So it's expensive. Step number 10, the last of our 10 steps to find the lowest airfare, and this is common sense, guys. Rediscover the magic of a professional travel advisor. Paul, a travel advisor, we're finding that new demographics are actually discovering travel advisors. People in hashtag Snurley's demographic, that 30-year-old, is saying, hey, I can save time, I can save money, I can get professionally coached. When I get in a jam, I can pick up the phone and they can get me out of the jam. And they're saying, hey, you know what? Using a travel advisor doesn't cost, it saves. Mm-hmm. And I say to people, when they ask what we do, we say, we're the easy button. Yeah. When you get into a jam, you talk to us and we fix your problems. Why would you spend hours?
Travel.
Yeah, I can't tell you how many emails I get. Hey, Steve, I booked a hotel. The flight was canceled. How do I get my money back? Oh, well, maybe you should use a professional travel advisor that can help you with that. Mm-hmm. That's what we're here for. So that's number 10, and actually should be number 1. Actually, I should flip those around, put it right up to number 1. So, ladies and gentlemen, thanks for joining us today.
Please like, subscribe, share, and add any comments or feedback below on topics that would be of interest for future episodes. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you next week.